Again, another example of biblical preparation. And there's even more to this preparedness. And it goes beyond just food. It actually goes to self-preservation. Christ told us that these days are going to be worse than the days of Noah, where torrential rains flooded the entire earth. And it's going to be worse than that? I do not want that to happen to my loved ones. But I'm also a realist that this book is a book of truth. It's not a book of confusion. And so look at Matthew 24. It talks about the fact that there'll be signs of the end of the age. There's going to be the birth pangs, there's going to be the pestilences, there's going to be the famines and earthquakes and all these terrible things. And then it goes on to talk about the abomination of desolation. And then, after all that, it talks about the coming of the Son of Man. And we know that the church is quote-unquote raptured with the second coming of Christ. And so it says immediately after the tribulation of those days, Jesus Christ will be coming to gather his elect. This book is not like Revelation. It's talking about things sequentially, chronologically. And so when it says immediately after the tribulation, after all those things that are happening, then the church will be gathered by Christ. And so we need not make this complicated, folks. We're going to be here for this. And so you need to spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically prepare for what's coming. If God has given you in advance discerning eyes and discerning ears on what is on the horizon, and you have the means to physically prepare for yourself and others, and you choose to not be obedient and just say, well, God's just going to take care of it, that's also not right. And I do see that a lot, that people are too afraid. They're not trusting that we're really in the end times. They don't want to spend the money on preparedness supplies or things of that nature because they're just really not sure yet. They just rather, say, oh, well, God will take care of it. I really do think that that's not being obedient, because he is giving you discerning eyes and ears for this appointed time. And I want to give you a couple biblical examples of that. I mean, just take the story of Noah. Not only was Noah charged with building the ark, but he also had to prepare and store food for him and his family and all the animals on board. Now, make note that in his faith, he had to trust God and carry out what he had been charged with. It was not as if God said, Noah, take your family, the animals will follow, and just wait on this mountain peak and just chill out there and I'll take care of the rest. There was still a part that Noah had to do. Another great example of this is in Proverbs 21:20. It talks about the wise will store up choice food and olive oil, but fools gulp theirs down. If we look at the story of Joseph and Pharaoh, Pharaoh had the dreams about lean cows and fat cows, and it was actually talking about how there would be a great famine. And so Joseph interpreted this dream and said, we need to store grain. Again, another example of biblical preparation. And there's even more to this preparedness. And it goes beyond just food. It actually goes to self-preservation. So Proverbs 27:12, a prudent man foreseeth evil and hides himself, but the simple pass on and are punished.
But as the days of Noe were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noe entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away, so shall also the coming of the Son of Man be. Likewise also, as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sowed, they planted, they builded. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven, and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. The earth also was corrupt before God, and the earth was filled with violence. And God looked upon the earth, and behold, it was corrupt, for all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. Even as Sodom and Gomorrah, and the cities about them in like manner, giving themselves over to fornication and going after strange flesh, are set forth for an example, suffering the vengeance of eternal fire. For if God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them down to hell, and delivered them into chains of darkness to be reserved unto judgment, and spared not the old world, but saved Noah, the 8th person, a preacher of righteousness, bringing in the flood upon the world of the ungodly, and turning the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah into ashes, condemned them with an overthrow, making them an ensample unto those that after should live ungodly. Not every one that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. Many will say to me in that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in thy name, and in thy name have cast out devils, and in thy name done many wonderful works? And then will I profess unto them, I never knew you. Depart from me, ye that work iniquity. Knowing this first, that there shall come in the last days scoffers, walking after their own lusts, and saying, Where is the promise of his coming? For since the fathers fell asleep, all things continue as they were from the beginning of the creation. For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and knew not until the flood came and took them all away.
end of days, the midst of the midnight hour. World War III, the goal is ultimate power. Save my soul from the god of this world. Make me whole and shine real bright like pearls. Now let's think, have we all been deceived by traditions to dress up some old fir trees and evergreen wreaths? What about mistletoe? And what is the reason for this? We don't know. We don't even bother to question why. And when the truth comes out, we quick to deny. The heart is evil and black with sin. What comes from your mouth comes from deep within. Man, it's much bigger than you sheeple think. You better wake up soon or get lost in the drink. Plans in motion, almost there. Battle for your soul with spiritual warfare. Sign of the time we know, cause we watching. The men of the elite steadily plotting. Try to warn your family, they don't believe ya. Think by the God of this world, great deceiver. Sign of the time we know, cause we watching. The men of the